Welcome to the Path Monk Presents podcast. My name is Sean Donnelly Lewis, and in today's episode, we're speaking with Gabrielle Dalvet, and she is the Director of Marketing at Vendr.com. Gabrielle, how's it going?
Great, Sean. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, well, tell us all about Vendr. What do you guys do?
Yeah, so Vendr is the SaaS buying platform. We are a place where finance and procurement leaders come to build out and really an extension of their team in a truly scalable and data-backed way, where we purchase software for organizations across departments and are able to get fair pricing, great contract terms, and help facilitate legal and security approvals so that those finance and procurement leaders or even department heads don't have to bother with some of that low-hanging fruit.
Okay. And so it sounds like what you guys do are for big companies, or would you guys help out a small company as well? Talk about your clientele for a second.
Yeah, we typically see success when we're working with companies anywhere from 50 employees to 2,000. As companies get bigger, there are more complex purchasing processes or usually far more built out teams. So our sweet spot is really in the 50 to 2,000 range, although we obviously have some outliers beyond that.
Okay. And how have you guys been able to grow the company? Has it been a lot of inbound? Has it been a lot of outbound? Combination of both, digital marketing, SEO, SEM?
Yeah, so if you check out my tenure, you'll notice I've only been here for about 4 months. And so the company's been around for a little over 2 years. And a lot of it was grown very organically through word of mouth. So marketing is very in its infant stage here at Vendr. We've got a lot of experimentation and testing and learning to do, but a lot of the growth up until my start date was through referrals from customers, as well as just fans, the Vendr fan base. So it's been great to see that real organic traction.
And so you guys starting to implement some more things outbound wise, or?
Yeah, so we have a BDR team that's grown from 1 at the end of 2020 into, I think we're at 3 now. And that will continue to scale. So outbound's been working again through leaning heavily on like word of mouth and referrals in the outbound channel. And then in the marketing side, we just built out our team. I have a team of 3 now instead of just me, and we're really starting to just scrape the surface of those different experiments that we're running. What we're seeing easy traction in is actually organic search efforts through content optimization, which is awesome because as many marketers know, it usually takes a while for that stuff to build up, and we've only been doing it for about a month and are already seeing some keywords jumping to the top of the pack for our position. So
Very cool. And you were talking about word of mouth and referrals. So I'm assuming those things bring people to the website. What role does the website play in acquiring new clients?
yeah, we just overhauled our website in March in advance of our big Series A fundraising round, and it really tells a much better story of how Vendr works, which I think is from my conversations with the ideal customer profile. People say that's the hardest block for them is like, well, how does this all work? How can I trust what the process is going to work for me in their organization? So we feel like the website does a much better job now of explaining the Vendr experience. We built out specifically a how it works page. Then we built out subsequent how it works more so for personas specifically, so that if you're in finance, procurement, IT, or just a regular old department head like myself, you can get an idea of how that would specifically work for you and benefit you and your business.
Okay. And so thinking about when I have marketeers on the show, the lists of things that they like about the website is really long and great and rich. But in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, well, if there were a couple things that we could tweak and make it better, then things would go a lot differently. If you could change one thing, what would it be? Would it be, or improve it? Would it be the ability to convert, the quality of leads, or the user experience?
Yeah, that's a fun question. I think I think the ability to convert, we're still, again, marketing is in its infant stage here at Vendr. We're still figuring out what language is going to resonate. Like, I think we've solved the, like, for now, at least the word of mouth and referral side, the outbound side. But then, if people are just coming to us for the first time, how do we like get across our value prop in a way that makes it seem legitimate? Because our ROI is incredible. We guarantee savings in your first year of business with us. But that almost sounds like, because so many people have taken advantage of that, it almost sounds like, well, what's the catch? Like, I don't believe you,
Right.
because unfortunately across different avenues, sometimes that's not always the case. And when people claim like, oh, we're going to save you money. And so really trying to establish that like clear line of trust and confidence building with personas. I think the website has some like messaging testing work to do, doing some persona interviews as a way to support that. And then specifically, I'd say I'm excited to start digging into the pricing page, which will be next up on our docket of like, how again can we take that one step, that messaging testing one step deeper, and really figuring out, once people are on the pricing page, right, the gold mine for all web
Right.
marketers, like how do we just shot straight to the heart in terms of like the trust and confidence build, and understanding how it works, as well as that savings guarantee.
And coming back to what you guys do, what would you say separates you from other people that occupy the same space? What do you guys do just a little different?
Well, we're in an interesting space where there's not really too many direct competitors. There are a few like copycats that have sprouted up, and then they're offering like a similar negotiation service, but we've been around for longer, so we've got that first movers advantage. And then the other side of the like competitive landscape, which we don't really consider direct competitors, but more so complementary to each other, is like the SaaS management platforms, like a Blissfully or a Xylo or a G2 Track, where somebody in finance or IT could have both of those running, where they're understanding licensing and user provisioning, while we're handling the actual purchasing process and the negotiations. So we find ourselves in this unique space of like, a lot of people say they're like creating a category. We actually truly feel like we are, because, and again, that goes back to like having to build trust, because this hasn't existed before for fast growing software companies. So it's the competitive landscape is a long-winded question, but hope that helps like paint the picture.
No, that's great. Obviously, when you can find a hole in the market and fill it, that's the best place to be, isn't it? This
Mhm.
is a part of the show where I get to pick your brain as a marketeer. And so when I say a word like innovation, what would you say is the biggest challenge that you found in marketing for innovation?
I love that question, because I feel like it summarizes, or it's a lead into one of my biggest like personal gripes with marketing teams. The work that I see marketing teams produce across the landscape, which is, are you really doing that for yourself or for your customers? And I think too often marketers get so excited about an idea that they think is really cool and innovative. But again, is that just because they want to add that to their portfolio, or is that actually driving value and driving audience engagement, for their target, right? So I think being able to take a step back and be constructive, be critical and constructive of yourself and your work as a marketer when you do go out to pitch some sort of innovative idea is really critical.
And it's keeping the same theme here. When I say something like conversion optimization, what do you say? What would you say is the biggest challenge against that?
I think honestly, understanding where to place your bets, because you only have so much time and energy and resources to go out and test conversion optimization. And as much as we would all love to like interview our target personas all day every day in order to get that real-time feedback, that's not always the case, and
Right.
we have to go with our gut a lot of the time. Or maybe in my case, I don't have any historical data to even draw off of, so it's a lot of instincts that are driving the decisions that we're making to decide on what language to put on our website, to get those conversions. So it's I think like the ideal world of conversion optimization and the real world of conversion optimization are two very different spheres. And I think we, as marketers, when you read a best practice blog or guide, like you really have to keep in mind that, like, what's realistic here, especially as a very small team. We're only a team of 3.
Right. I'm going to make it really hard on you. If you could focus on one thing in order to improve marketing, just the whole thing, what would it be? Would it be the roadmaps? Would it be the growth initiatives? Would it be the messaging or the reporting?
I think the messaging, it all goes back to the messaging. It's
And what? Yeah, you can expound on that.
I mean, the user experience, the big picture strategy, the reporting, like those are all supporting players, but the main character is the message. And if the message doesn't resonate, then all of that falls apart. And I think it's something that startup marketers especially have to weigh very carefully in determining their plans, because it's really easy when you're moving at such a fast pace in a high growth, small organization that's growing quickly. You really need to be able to move quickly, but thoughtfully, and working through the messaging and finding the messaging that actually makes sense and builds that trust and builds the interest with the target audience. Is, if you don't have that, you're, dead in the water.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Let's switch gears here for a second and talk about you as a leader. What kind of content do you consume to educate yourself and grow as a person and as a professional?
Yeah, some of the content that I've been really enjoying lately is Marketing Brew. So Morning Brew has a new, I think it's newish, newsletter specifically for marketers. So been loving that. That goes out, I think, in the afternoons, which is a nice break from like the morning slog of emails.
Right.
And then I have a couple of folks that I follow pretty religiously on LinkedIn. John Bonini, Some Good Content. He actually has like a Patreon. You can subscribe to his to get even more information, behind the scenes info and downloadable guides from him. He's, I think, has a fantastic mindset around content strategy and execution. And then I actually have a women's marketing networking group. So we share a lot of best practices. I think just having a community where you can pick up the phone, so to speak, or open up Slack and
Right.
ping somebody on an idea you have and answer it in real time with like a little brain trust you've got going on the side has been immensely helpful.
Very cool. Are you a podcast person?
I am. I actually, that's a great question. I am a big fan of Chris Walker from Refine Labs, State of Demand Gen. Although the episodes are long, so
Yeah.
my attention span needs to split them up a little bit more.
Are you one of those people that does the 2 times speed, or do you keep it normal?
I keep it normal, but I have to like do it in chunks just
Yeah.
because the way life is these days, it's like I can't get more than like 30 minutes to dive in.
We are slowly coming to the end of the episode, but before we do, I just want to hit you with some rapid fire questions. So short and sweet, but honesty is the best policy. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Gabrielle, what was the last book that you read?
An American Marriage.
Okay. I don't know. I've never heard of that. Is that maybe am I living?
It's by Tayari Jones, if I'm remembering that correctly, and it's a really great book. If we want to talk about professional reads, I actually just finished Adam Grant's Think Again.
Okay. No. You could be
Organizational.
honesty, right? Honesty, American Marriage. I'll have to see. I'll have to check it out. What's the single thing that your company is focused on at the moment the most?
I think our, long-term product strategy and how marketing supports that. And by long-term startup world, that usually just means like the end of the year, but our longer-term strategy.
If there were no boundaries in technology, what would be the one thing you want to have fixed for your company today?
I want flawless reporting more than anything and data hygiene, but it's it's a work in progress always.
If you were to say, well, you've only been in the company for a little while now, but let's say your professional career over again, what would be the one piece of advice you give yourself?
Don't let the hypercritical advice influence your confidence levels.
All right,
Critical
everyone.
advice is helpful. Oh,
Oh, no, go for it. You can
I was
go.
going to say critical advice is helpful, but take it with a grain of salt, understand where it's coming from, and vet it amongst a diverse group of opinions to get the best advice for you personally.
All right, everyone. That was Gabrielle Dalvet. You can check out all the great work that they're doing at Vendr, VENDR.com. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Gabrielle. The last order of business is the last word. So if you want to sum up everything that we talked about today, or you feel like there's something that we forgot, I just want to give you the last word. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I think for your audience, what's most compelling about what we're working on here at Vendr is that as a head of marketing, if you're a head of marketing or managing a software stack for marketers, I think Vendr is a really compelling use case for freeing up a lot of that time. While we usually sell to finance folks, we also have people who are heads of engineering, heads of marketing, heads of RevOps that find a lot of value in just outsourcing all the SaaS purchasing to the team at Vendr. So I would encourage folks to check it out.
Very cool. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Sean.